So I tried making this video last night, but this is the reason why I tried making my videos before the day gets started and mommyhood happens, because it was a little loud. So if you've already seen it, that's the reason why there is the same video. Okay, so Sarah made this tweet. She captioned it with, "Not that I owed him another long-winded explanation, but why does it have to be there's another guy?" Instead of taking any accountability or even acknowledging any of the issues we had in our relationship. So then she shows us some of the text messages. Okay, so he's in gray. He says, "I'm sorry for bothering you, but I just really need to know if I'm giving myself false hope of us coming together as a family, or are you completely over the idea and just going to see other people and move on? I'm not starting an argument and I won't reply back if so, but I would really know so I am not hurting anymore and move on." She says, "I'm sorry I didn't respond earlier to this. I don't want to give you false hope or think this is a trial separation. That's a big reason I didn't want us to hang out right now. I thought a lot about this decision and the repercussions of this on Jace and on us before I decided to end the relationship. I really did try to stick things out and change my expectations of us because it unalived me to think about not seeing Jace every day. It still does. It still does. And I need to be more vocal in communicating what changes needed to happen for me to feel supported. And it either ended in a fight or nothing was changing. I know you didn't intentionally word it this way from our conversation we had yesterday, but it makes it sound like I'm choosing myself and walking away from our family for selfish reasons. And that hurts. I chose to leave the relationship because neither of us were in a good place being together, and it wasn't healthy. And after I saw what Jace was around every day when we were both unhappy, I knew I couldn't keep lying to myself just to have a picture of a perfect family. I've already mourned the loss of what we used to have, and I know a lot happened in the last few years that changed things. But I need you to heal and move on from me too, because that's what I'm working on. Jace needs to have two happy parents. So he needs to have two happy parents, and he has a big, supportive, loving family between yours and mine." And then the man, "Okay, that's all I needed to let you go from my life. I just wish we could have gotten help before giving up and seeing someone else. Hope he makes you happy, and I will steer clear of you and your life. I'll keep our life and what we do in private from you, and you can do the same for your happiness. Have a fun weekend." He's so hurt. He's so hurt. And it really has to be because there's another man. And the way he's wording it is like he just really, really knows. And it just literally could not be. This woman wants to be single and be away from him. And going back to what she tweeted after this, she says, "And just to be clear, I did not respond to that last text. It didn't deserve one. She just left it standing." And so this man, y'all know he's going to run with the narrative. It came out of nowhere, and she just went over to him, and he is going to create a whole narrative to seem like a victim in this situation. Once a woman is done, it sounds like she is taking some of the responsibility for communicating, but I am totally sure the way she has worded it that she told him what the issues were and he didn't listen. And the thing is, what Hollywood has these men thinking is that when women are quiet, they are complacent or they have accepted the realities of the relationship. But when a woman goes quiet, she has moved on and she is game planning on how to move on physically. Andrew says it's always another person, and that's just a way to justify you leaving them in their mind. You're doing the right thing. My son is so much happier with my ex-wife, and I'm not arguing all the time. She's happy in her new marriage, and I'm happy. Son is happy. And Sarah says, "This is what I hope for." And Andrew's like, "You're doing great, sweetie. Trust the process. And see a therapist if you aren't already." Elisa says he can't handle the truth, so he wants to assume you're with somebody. Dudes do this all the time. Rather than looking in the mirror and reflecting on what happened and taking accountability for his role in the downfall, he just jumps to thinking what he stated in his response. And Sarah says, "Yep, it's too hard for him to believe that he has any faults that led to this. I admit there are things I could have done differently, like being more vocal about our problems to him, but I couldn't always handle his reactive nature, so I emotionally checked out for a while. And the thing is, when you are in survival mode, when you're walking on eggshells, that does not create a relationship that is going to be long lasting. If you are sitting up here just trying to avoid the wrath of somebody, that just makes your stress level goes up. That just makes life unbearable, and you're always just waiting for the shoe to drop. Kelly just says revisionist history is huge with narcissists. They can never be wrong or at fault. Be prepared. He's crafting a narrative he'll feel comfortable telling others. Yeah, we had some problems keeping it vague, but she met someone and chose them. Of course, that someone is yourself. Jess says, because men tend to respect other men before they respect you and your feelings. It's frustrating and shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately, it's usually true. And Sarah was like, whoa, I didn't even think about it that way, but it makes sense, unfortunately. And Vanessa Caridi says, it's impossible for him to accept that you'd rather be alone than with him. And Theo says, I don't mean to chime in, but this response just shook me so much because I never thought about this and it makes so much sense now. M says, just a quick PSA to my ladies. Men in active relationships act this way too. They will always assume there's someone else because they themselves can't hold accountability. Some of them so relentlessly preach about, speaking from personal experience. And with that, I end it there. But since I did post this on my other page, even though I pulled it down, I had a few comments over there that I'm going to go ahead and include over here. Bunny Wolf says it's because they won't leave unless they have another person to support their needs. So they project that onto women. They can't fathom a person actually being happy with themselves and enjoying peace and quiet. Somebody said that the background noises weren't that bad, that they could understand me. Shine on Benevolent Sun says, nobody is better than you, dear. Seriously, being with nobody is better than being with you. Okay, so this person says, can't wait. If it's about what I'm guessing from the pic, it's so true. When I filed, my husband demanded that my mother tell him that I'd met someone. They can't believe that they lost to no one. I chose peace. And then Kalista says, my ex lost to a ficus. I was so done. There didn't need to be another man. His own cheating was more than enough. And for your information, this was a ficus. Then Wiley Coyote says, my husband was convinced I was cheating on him. I would never cheat, but just wanted to leave. So we're going to end it there. If you have any comments on this particular thread, go ahead and jump in. But since I'm doing this over, and I actually have a little bonus to throw in. So I was sent this thread, and I'm attaching this because this just goes to show that these people, these peen havers, will try to monkey branch or have a relationship soon after their relationships end, or in this case, this woman, his wife, has died. So this is the thread. She says, so my landlord's wife just passed away in a horrific car accident 1 month ago today. I just saw him on Tinder, and my neighbor told me he has been texting her incessantly, asking her out. She is 13 years younger than him, 38 to 25. He and she were high school sweethearts. They have multiple kids together. So he's 38 with multiple kids, and now his wife has passed. She says, I guess our landlord called the neighbor shortly after the accident and told her that he and his wife had discussed who they would date when one of them dies. Side note, he was not with her when she was in the accident. Her car was rear-ended by a stranger. He told her, the neighbor, he sees her outside when he drives by, etc. He asked her how her fourth was and has now asked her out for a coffee and play date at the park. WTF. She is so creeped out. And then she put all these red flags. She continues with, her funeral is next week. Like, bro has already moved on with his life. So incredibly sad. And the car accident unalived one other passenger in the same car. So it's about to be a long and drawn out process. That is terrible that he is already looking for another relationship. It's kind of wild, some of these comments that follow. This person says, to be honest, telling someone else's story with potential tinges of misinformation and judgment, i.e. gossip, to a bunch of strangers over matters that are no one else's business in a bid for conversation is far more creepy to me than a grieving husband moving on fast. And she just says, okay. And then this person says, sounds like she's an adult and he is no longer married. And why are you on Tinder. Social media sure does like to judge. It's none of anyone's business, actually. Please raise your hand if any of you is a paragon of virtue. I will wait. I can't wait to see all the raised hands. And she's just like, okay. And then Father of Juice says, him being on Tinder is none of your concern. Him texting his tenant for sure crosses some ethical lines, but considering it isn't you, again, it's not your concern. These people are perfectly fine with thinking that a man is moving on this quickly before his wife is even in the ground. And that is wild. So behind the line says people act weird when they're grieving, and I'm sure he's extremely lonely. And then Joker says that's true. We all grieve differently. And Cassandra says people deal with grief in weird ways. And Goblin Baby says lonely. It's been days. People defend the sickest stuff in here. And the thing is, how does he even have time to grieve when he should be, setting up the funeral, comforting his children, dealing with the paperwork that goes along with this? How does he have time to be on Tinder and texting this person like that? Y'all know that this sounds weird. Then you got this person saying it only means that he was living that life all along, which could be true. Cariana says men don't stay single long if they can find somebody else. And this person says he might have stayed with her for the kids or fear of paying child support, just giving a rationalization or an excuse. And this person says he's lonely. I mean, that could very well be true. But the thing is, some of these people literally, like this woman's not even in the ground yet, and he's already moved on. That's how strong his mind was with this woman. And people are wondering why women are opting out of marriage. If a man can move on that quickly before the paperwork is done with all of the death certificates and the she's not even in the ground, how strong was that marriage to begin with? What is that saying to his children? This is wild to me, but I would like to hear what you say. Go ahead, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, share. And if you made it this far without subscribing, go ahead and hit the follow button.